Have you ever experienced loving a man deeply, only to have him leave as if he never loved you at all, then return months later acting like he never caused you pain? I'm Vernon. In my previous video I broke down the common reasons why a man might come back after disappearing, and the response was overwhelming. Hundreds of you shared your stories, and I realized we needed to go deeper into the psychological truth behind these returns. So today, we're revisiting that topic with a harder look at what's really happening in their minds when they reappear. In this video, I'll analyze the 6 brutal psychological reasons why men return after periods of silence. And you'll realize that coming back doesn't always mean love rekindled. In fact, it's often a calculated move they don't even admit to themselves. Before we begin, like and subscribe so you don't miss these deep insights into relationship psychology designed for women who've lived life like we have. So let's start with the most common reason men come back, not because they've had an epiphany about your worth, but because they're feeling the sudden sting of losing your presence.
Number 1. He returns when his ego is bruised by your silence. Sarah, my friend, she's 58, a successful financial director. When the man she loved suddenly cut contact after 8 months of dating, Sarah didn't do what most women typically do. No constant texting, no tearful phone calls, no searching for explanations. Sarah chose complete silence. And guess what happened? After 3 months, he appeared with a message. "Are you well? I miss you." This is the first reason men return, when their ego is bruised by your silence. For many men, your silence doesn't hurt them, it confuses them because they've lost control. They're used to being the one who leaves, not the one who gets forgotten. When you don't react as they expect, they start wondering, why isn't she looking for me? Doesn't she care about me as much as I thought? As psychologist Robert Cialdini once said, "We want what we cannot have, and we value what seems scarce." The male ego has a peculiar trait. They need to feel wanted to confirm their self-worth. When you're silent, you've inadvertently removed that source of validation, and this forces them to return to check if they still matter.
Think about it. When they left, they expected a certain script. They expected you to chase, to beg, to make them feel important, even in their absence. Your silence disrupts their narrative completely. Suddenly, they're not the desired one who graciously left. They're the forgotten one who might have made a mistake. This psychological phenomenon is called reactance theory. When people expect a certain response and don't get it, they become obsessed with obtaining that response. Your silence creates a void where their ego used to be fed. But here's what's crucial to understand. This return isn't about love, it's about validation. They're not coming back because they've realized your worth. They're coming back because they need to confirm their own worth through your reaction. Sarah's story ended interestingly. When he returned, she asked him one simple question. "What's different now?" His answer revealed everything. "I missed talking to you." Not, "I missed you." He missed what you provided him. But remember, returning because of a bruised ego is completely different from returning because they love you. One is about them, the other is about you. However, not every return is just about ego damage. Sometimes what drives them back is stronger, the void you left behind. Which brings us to the next reason.
Number 2, he remembers emotional safety, not just the romance. There's a truth rarely spoken about men. They often ignore emotions while in love, but when they've lost it, they remember what truly made them feel like themselves. Men, especially after 60, often crave emotional safety more than excitement. They want someone who doesn't judge when they're vulnerable, doesn't demand when they're tired, doesn't leave when they're no longer perfect. This isn't about passion or romance, it's about sanctuary. With you, he could admit his fears about aging, his worries about his health, his anxiety about his financial future. He could be less than strong, less than confident, less than the image he presents to the world. When they go out and meet other women, they discover something unsettling. Not everyone can create that safe space. New dates might be exciting, but they require performance. They require him to be on, charming, confident, successful. There's no room for vulnerability, no space for genuine emotional release. Think about what you provided: unconditional emotional acceptance. You listened without trying to fix. You comforted without judging. You held space for his fears without making them about you. That's incredibly rare, and most men don't realize its value until it's gone. The world becomes harsher as we age. Health scares become real. Career uncertainties loom larger. Children become more distant. Friends start facing serious problems or disappearing altogether. In this context, emotional safety becomes more valuable than excitement.
When he faces a health diagnosis alone, when he struggles with his business without someone to confide in, when he lies awake at night with anxieties he can't share, that's when he remembers you weren't just his lover, you were his emotional refuge. In the face of a harsh world, what lingers in a man's memory, as Carl Jung noted, is the woman who met him with softness. They return not because they've matured or realized love, but because they've realized you are where they could breathe. You are where they didn't have to pretend. You are where they could be human instead of performing masculinity. Are you still willing to be that sanctuary? Are you prepared to provide emotional safety to someone who left you emotionally unsafe? Are you ready to offer unconditional support to someone who offered you conditional love? Understanding this gives you power. When he returns seeking that emotional safety, you can choose whether to be his refuge again, but this time on your terms. Send this video to a friend who's had an ex return like nothing happened. Sometimes, this sharing will be the gentle wake-up call they need. And if emotions can draw them back, there's another motive that's even more calculating. Number 3, he sees you glowing without him and panics. Maya Angelou once wrote, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. But I've learned this, no fear runs deeper for a man than seeing the woman he once took for granted write her next chapter and leave him behind on the page." When Jennifer's relationship ended, she didn't break, she rose. My old friend, at 55, the successful dermatologist booked a one-way flight to Argentina, mastered tango, and launched her second clinic. The loss didn't define her courage did.
6 months later, when friends posted photos of Jennifer glowing in a red dress in Buenos Aires, that man appeared with a call. "You've changed so much. I want to talk." This is the third reason. He sees you glowing without him and panics. As you truly move forward, change your energy, take care of yourself, he sees clearly that you don't need him to survive. And this terrifies him for a deep psychological reason: fear of missing out on your growth. When you were with him, perhaps you limited yourself, abandoned dreams to prioritize the relationship. Maybe you turned down opportunities, postponed goals, or dimmed your light to make him comfortable. He got used to a version of you that revolved around him. But when he left, you awakened and returned to your true self, the strong, radiant, energetic version. You rediscovered passions he never knew you had. You pursued dreams he never supported. You became more interesting, more confident, more alive than you were with him. And he realizes this version of you he never knew, never possessed.
Men tend to want to own the best versions of women they once loved. When they see you flourishing without them, they feel like they invested in the wrong stock timing, sold too early when the price was about to soar. This creates a panic response. Suddenly, he's not the one who upgraded by leaving. He's the one who downgraded by missing out on your evolution. Your growth makes his decision to leave look foolish, and his ego can't handle that narrative. Jennifer's transformation wasn't just physical or professional, it was energetic. She radiated the confidence of a woman who had rediscovered herself. She carried the joy of someone living authentically, and that energy is magnetic in a way that desperation never was. This isn't love returning, it's possession anxiety. He's not coming back because he loves who you are now, but because he's terrified you no longer need him. He wants to reclaim the investment he walked away from. Jennifer eventually told him, "You're not returning because you love me now, but because you're afraid I don't need you anymore." That's not love, that's control. Your glow without him is proof of your independence, and nothing threatens a controlling person more than the independence of someone they once controlled. And finally, there's a reason that makes many women think he's changed. But is it really?
Number 4. He returns because he thinks you'll take him back. This brings us to the fourth and perhaps most brutal reason. He returns because he thinks you'll take him back. Sometimes coming back isn't about feelings. It's a test to see if you're still an easy refuge. They return not because they've changed, but because they assume you haven't changed. As philosopher Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." But some men think the opposite. They want many options while keeping one safe reserve. They calculate, "She loved me for 2 years. She can't forget that quickly. She's definitely still waiting." They see you as a familiar chair, maybe not the most beautiful, but always there when they want to sit. Here's their internal logic. "I've tested other waters. Some were exciting but complicated. Some were beautiful but demanding. Some were young but exhausting. She was easy, comfortable, predictable.
she'll be grateful I'm back. This is perhaps the most insulting reason of all, because it's based entirely on their assumption of your weakness. They're betting on your loyalty, your history together, your emotional investment. They're counting on you being the same person who once waited by the phone, who once made excuses for their behavior, who once prioritized their needs over your own dignity. They return with a sense of entitlement disguised as romance. They bring flowers and sweet words, but underneath is the assumption that you've been marking time until they decided to grace you with their presence again.
The tragedy I've witnessed is women who mistake this calculated return for romantic awakening. They think he came back, so he must have realized he loves me. No, he came back because he realized you're his safest option. They're not returning because they can't live without you. They're returning because they think you can't live without them. There's a massive difference between being someone's necessity and being someone's convenience. This type of return often comes with subtle tests. They'll see how quickly you respond to their messages, how available you make yourself, how much you've changed your life in their absence. They're gathering data about whether you're still the sure thing they remember. But here's the crucial question. Are you still that person? Are you still sitting in the same emotional place, available for their convenience? Or have you recognized that being someone's backup plan is not a position worthy of your time and energy? The most empowering response to this type of return is indifference, not anger, indifference, because anger still gives them power. Indifference shows them that you've moved beyond needing their validation entirely. Have you ever taken someone back only to realize they returned not for you, but for the comfort of the familiar? Share your story in the comments. Help other women wake up to this reality. But not every man comes back with arrogance. Some return with something more deceptive.
Number 5. He returns out of nostalgia, not commitment. Not all returns are about love. Some are about memory, and memory plays tricks. You see, when a man is alone long enough, especially one who's tasted comfort with you, his mind starts to replay the good times like a highlight reel. He doesn't see the arguments. He doesn't feel the emotional distance that built up. He only remembers how you made him feel: supported, admired, desired, safe. This is nostalgia, and it's powerful. It brings a man back to the warmest version of you in his mind. But here's the problem. He's not returning to you with a vision for the future. He's reaching for the past. And that kind of return, it's not built to last. Because real commitment isn't about what once was. It's about what comes next, how he plans to show up now. Many women mistake nostalgia for growth. They think, he must have changed, he misses me. But missing you is not the same as valuing you. Missing you
is an emotion. Valuing you is a decision. A man who's moved by nostalgia might come back for a few weeks or months, say all the right things, reminisce, even act like he's finally ready. But when reality sets in, when emotional depth is needed again, when commitment is required, he begins to fade. Why? Because he didn't return to build a new relationship. He came back chasing a feeling, and feelings are fleeting. You deserve a man who shows up not because he remembers how good it felt, but because he's ready to recreate that goodness and protect it. A man who's grounded in the present, not one grasping at ghosts from the past. So when he says, "I miss us," ask yourself, is he missing me or the version of himself he got to be when I loved him without question? Because the woman you are now may not love the way she used to, and that's not a tragedy. That's growth. Still, there's another kind of return, not driven by memory or ego, but by sheer disappointment. And that brings us to the next truth.
Number 6. He returns because life didn't reward his exit. There's a type of man who leaves thinking he's upgrading, walking into something better, easier, more thrilling. He tells himself he needs space, freedom, or something new. In truth, he's gambling. He believes the world will reward his exit, that another woman will be softer, younger, less demanding, that dating again will bring back excitement, that he'll finally get what he thinks he deserves, without the emotional responsibility that came with being with a woman like you. But life doesn't always play along. And when reality doesn't reward him, when dating turns out to be lonely, when other women don't offer what you did, when excitement becomes exhausting, he starts rethinking everything. That's when he texts. That's when he calls. That's when he says, "I've been doing a lot of thinking." But what he really means is, "I thought I could do better. I couldn't. Are you still available?" This isn't love. It's disappointment. He's not coming back because he's realized your value. He's coming back because life didn't give him what he expected. And now he hopes you're still where he left you, emotionally available, waiting, willing. When a man returns for comfort, not commitment, he doesn't show up to build. He shows up to rest. He wants to feel good again, but doesn't want to do what it takes to make you feel safe again. To him, you're not a new beginning. You're a comfortable return. Not a choice, but a fallback. Because there's a difference, and your dignity deserves to know the truth before your heart gets involved again. Sometimes the most empowering answer you can give isn't anger or even explanation. It's silence, followed by the simple reality that you're no longer where he left you.
By now, you clearly understand that men can return for many reasons, but very few of those reasons involve having matured and being ready to love properly. Bruised ego, missing emotional safety, panic at seeing you flourish, or simply assuming you'll take them back, all of these revolve around their needs, not their love for you. It's not about whether he returns, it's about whether you're still in the same place, ready to receive him. After 60, we've lived enough to understand a man who truly loves you will never make you question his feelings. He won't disappear and return as if nothing happened. You don't need another apology. You need clarity. There's a line by poet David White that stayed with me for years. The courageous conversation is the one you're refusing to have, first with yourself. And in love, that conversation often begins the moment we stop blaming his confusion and start confronting our clarity. So tell me, do you have a story, a question, or maybe just something you've carried in silence for too long? Feel free to share it in the comments below. And before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel to explore more profound insights about love and life at our experienced age. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching my video.